Look how different I look. I look so different. You are. Like every time I see all my class, you look different. You look different.
Muhammad Mahdi Wahidi for the recitation of Dua Imam Zamana. Banur Muhammad Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kulli walika uqadir yasan salawatك عليه وعلى آله بيعزي سؤال في كل سؤال وليا وحافظا وقادا وناصرا ودليلا دليلا حتى تسكن وزكا دوار مكتمته بيا داويلا
Thank you. MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
One more loud salawat. Now I would like to call Brother Ilya Hassan for the recitation of Quran. Salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ar-Rahman علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والهب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Jazakallah, mashallah, Brother Ilya, for your beautiful recitation of Quran. Next up, I would like to call up Brother An Rizvi for recitation of Quran. Banur Muhammad Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال صيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Jazakallah. One more loud salawat for Brother On. Continuing the program forward, I would now like to call Brother Ibrahim Naqvi for the recitation of Hadith Qissa. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عن جابر بن عبد الله أنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجدني في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني وغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني وغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك غاية طيبة كأنها غاية جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله. أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. وما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك غاية طيبة كأنها غاية جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وقاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا جداه. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. ودخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك غاية طيبة كأنها غاية أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لواي قد أذنت لك. ودخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي. يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا هرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عادهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم واذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماعا ممنية ولا أرضا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ قال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة فأحمد أبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أحبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. هبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويقصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماعا عمية ولا أرضا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ قال يا رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لي أبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم ويقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله؟ قال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفزا شيعتنا رب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين فيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد.
Jazakallah, Brother Ibrahim, for the beautiful recitation of Hadith Qissa. Moving the program forward, I would now like to start the salam portion of our program. I would like to call up Brother Heather Zadi for his salam. Salawat.
गुजरी जो कत्लेगाह से ज़ैनब जिगर फिगार आँखें लहू लहू थी बदन पर गमों का भार लाशों को देख देख के रोती थी जार जार कहती थी जल गया ये या शाह जुल्फ़िकार कैसे बताऊं क्या
है बाबा गुर्बत में कत्ल हो गया मजलूम बेवतन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन तीरों पे खा रखा हुआ लाशा हुसैन का हुआ हुआ लहू में ठाकुर का हुसैन का आवाज की हुसैन की बहना कफन कफन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन आई नाराज गो घड़ी पड़ गैस की फिजा कुर्बा शहीद हो गया मेरा घर उजड़ गया पर गैस गैस गैर का अपना वतन वतन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन एक दिन के दाग मैंने 72 उठा लिए कुछ दाग मैंने कल्ब के अंदर छुपा लिए छुप के नहीं छुपा से गावे रसन रसन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन देखा है बाबा मैंने जो मंजर बताऊं क्या मैं जो बैठा रखा हुआ सर हर शहीद का गोरों के गोरने से का पुतरे बदन बदन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन गाजी के बाद और कयामत गुजर गई प्यासों की आस कूट के बन में बिखर गई एक शोर अल्लाह कशी का बापा था गहन गहन मैं भाई भाई कह की खिला शाह बहन बहन सलवा
MashaAllah, Brother Heather Zaid. That was a very great recitation. I would now like to call our brother Abis Rabbani for the recitation of a salam. Salawat.
Salawat. न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है जहान अज़्म वफा का पैकर दर्द का मरकज जुनू का महवर जमाल ज़हरा जमाल हैदर ज़मीर इंसान सीर दावर हुसैन तस्वीर अंबिया है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है हुसैन दिल है हुसैन जान है हुसैन कुरान की जुबान है हुसैन सजदों की सर जमी है हुसैन ज़हनों का आसमां है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है Ask not, O my Hosannas, the symbol of righteousness, the epitome of selflessness, the personification of piety, the manifestation of deity. Hussein's pride of Gibriyah, Hussein's the proof of La ilaha, Hussein's part of Mustafa, Hussein's the permit of Allah, Hussein's Safiyatul Najah, Hussein's Misbahul Huda, Hussein's leader of Jannah, Hussein's Sayyidul Shuhada. Is there a higher stature than his? Ask not, O my Hussein. न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है हुसैन ईमान की जुस्तजू है हुसैन यज़दा की आबरू है हुसैन का जिक्र चार सू है हुसैन का हौसला न पूछो हुसैन रुट कर भी सुरखरू है वो देखो फौजों के दरमियां भी हुसैन तन्हा दता हुआ है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है Ask not, O my Hosannas. Hussein is day, Hussein is light. Hussein still shines in the darkest nights. Who can understand Hussein's might? Oppressors keep perishing, Hussein's alive. Hussein's my heart, Hussein's my soul. Hussein's my life's ultimate goal. Hussein's an enigma none can explain. Hussein's love is beyond insane. It makes us weep again and again, healing our hearts, washing our strength. Is there a greater mourning than his? Ask not, O my Hosannas. न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है हुसैन ज़ख्मों भरी कहानी हुसैन ज़ख्मों भरी जबी है हुसैन इरफा की सल्तनत है हुसैन अजमत का सिता है उठा रहा है जो लाश अकबर हुसैन बुरहान नहीं जवां है न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है Ask not, O my Hussainas. Hussein's the completion of Zibh Azim. Hussein gave his all for God's name. Hussein carried Azhar's body. Hussein terrored on Akbar's body. Hussein endured Qasim's parting. Hussein saw Abbas's soul departing. Hussein had to leave Sakina crying to offer his blood when Islam was dying. Is there a greater sacrifice than his? Ask not, O my Hussainas. न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है हुसैन एक दिल नशी कहानी हुसैन दस्तूर हक कबानी हुसैन अब्बास का सरहपा हुसैन अकबर की नौजवानी हुसैन किरदार अहले ईमान हुसैन मेयार की जिंदगानी हुसैन कासिम की कम नुमाई हुसैन असगर की बेजुबानी हुसैन सज्जाद की खामोशी, हुसैन बाकर की नौख खानी, हुसैन दजला का खुश साहिब, हुसैन सहरा की बेकरानी, हुसैन ज़ैनब की कसम पूरी, हुसैन कुलसूम की रदा है, न पूछ मेरा हुसैन क्या है।
Jazakallah, Brother Abis Rubani, for the beautiful recitation on the character of Imam Hussein. One more loud salawat. Moving our program forward with salams, I would like to invite Brother Ali Amir to come for his salam. Banur Muhammad salawat.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
बेटी अली की तुरबत ज़हरा पे आई है, पुरता लहू भरा हुआ भाई कलाई है। बेटी अली की तुरबत ज़हरा पे आई है, पुरता लहू भरा हुआ भाई कलाई है। कहती है हुसैन की अम्मा उठो उठो, ज़ैनब से करबला जरा माजरा सुनो, ज़ैनब से करबला का जरा माजरा सुनो। अम्मा हमारे रंज मसायब में दर्दनाक, अम्मा हमारे कल्ब जिगर हो चुके हैं चाक, अम्मा हमारी नाना की उम्मत निकी दगा, अम्मा हमारे खून को समझे है सब रवा। बेटी अली की तुरबत ज़हरा पे आई है, पुरता लहू भरा हुआ भाई कलाई है। बेटी अली की तुरबत ज़हरा पे आई है, पुरता लहू भरा हुआ भाई कलाई है। अम्मा तरस के रह गए पानी को हम ज़मान, अम्मा दिया न हमको किसी ने भी एक जान,
Jazakallah, Jazakallah. Beautiful recitation by Brother Ali Amir. Now moving on to the next part of our program, we have a few short speeches from our youth before we invite Maulana. So I would like to invite Brother Ali Zadi for his speech. Let's welcome him with a loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبا القاسم محمد Amma Ba'd. The topic of my speech is the objective of Imam Hussein's uprising against Yazid. The best source to understand this objective is the letter he wrote to his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya when he was leaving Medina. In the letter he wrote, "Certainly I do not rise against Yazid in wickedness, nor arrogance, nor sedition, nor oppression. I have only risen to seek reformation in the nation of my grandfather." The most important word in this message is reformation. Reformation is to fix something back to its original state. Imam Hussein wanted to bring Islam back to its original form, called Islam Inab, which means pure Islam. One of the evil practices that Yazid started in the religion was the separation of religion and state. He did that to justify his government. He made people believe that it's okay to have a person like Yazid the leader. He was destroying the fundamental concepts of Islam for his own power. Most of the Muslims at that time did not know the exact character of Yazid. Imam Hussein sacrificed his own life, his children, and his companions to reveal the real evil face of Yazid. Just before his martyrdom on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein said, "Harman Nasran Yansurana," which means who is there to help me. This voice of Imam will remain alive until the day of judgment. Every generation has to respond to Imam's Qur'an today. How can we respond to Imam's Qur'an? We can respond by doing exactly what Imam did. We have to do reformation in our religion and make it a code of life which covers every aspect of our life. Part of reformation is to understand Islamic political, economic, educational, judicial, and social systems, as most of the ayahs in the Quran are about these systems. May Allah give us the courage and ability to understand and implement Imam Hussein's concept of reformation to our society. Thank you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Jazakallah, Brother Ali, for the very excellent speech. Hal min Nasrin Yansurna is what Brother Ali mentioned, and that was what Imam Hussein said on the day of Ashura. So I think Brother gave a very great insight on how we can respond to that message in today's day and age, even so many years later. Moving on with the program, I would like to ask you all to move up a little bit so we can create more of a majlis environment in the front. We have a lot of space up here. If all the kids could just come up to the front a little bit more too, with a loud salawat. And now I would like to call up Brother Hussein Husseini for a speech. Let's welcome him with a loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyid Hussein Mahdi Husseini, and today the topic of my lecture is about the absolute love for Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, explained in Karbala.
Subhanallah.
Tawheed, belief in oneness of God, is the very first pillar of Usul ad-Din. The foundation of the teachings of the Quran is based on Tawheed. In Surah Al-Shura, verse 11, Allah has given the gist of Tawheed. He declares, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Allah's position is matchless. It means Allah is not only one, He is also absolute power. His attributes and powers cannot be shared by any party. And only He is worthy of our absolute love. So, a true faithful loves Allah the most, and out of this love strives to follow His commandments. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 165, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَندَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Yet there are some who take others as equals to Allah and love them as Allah alone should be loved. But those who truly believe, they love Allah more than all else. So according to the Quran, absolute love for Allah should be our ultimate objective, as it is the essence of Tawheed. Absolute love for Allah calls for complete obedience to Allah's commands and do only what pleases Him. His desire will be then our desire. In fact, sacrifice of all we love and like, is the practical proof of our absolute love for Allah. The event of Karbala, an inspiring example of sacrifice, is a unique practical implementation of the absolute love for Allah. Imam Hussein boldly refused to bow down and sacrifice his life along with the lives of his nearest and dearest ones, just to comply with Allah's command as explained in Surah Nisa, verse 135. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist. O thou who believe, be maintainers of justice. Imam Hussein's ultimate sacrifice was solely to seek Allah's pleasure and is full of many sterling lessons about life. I understand that absolute love for Allah is the foundation of Hussainiyat. In my humble understanding, Hussainiyat is based on these 5 pillars. 1. Absolute obedience to the will of Allah. 2. Readiness to sacrifice anything to preserve values of Islam. 3. Steely determination and resilience in the face of adversity and temptation. 4. Love and compassion for all. And 5. Steadfast belief in justice. Thank you.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah to Brother Hussein for his wonderful speech on Jazakallah. I want to say before we move on to the next part of the program and before I invite Mulana, I want to say thank you to everyone who's here today. Thank you to the parents for bringing their kids, and most of all, thank you to the kids. All of you had beautiful recitations of Quran, Hadith, Qissa, Salam, and you guys had great speeches. So I want to thank you all. Bibi Zainab Salamullahi Alayha made a promise to her brother that I won't let your name die. I won't let the Azadari of Imam Hussein die. And the youth that we have here today are the fulfillment of that promise of Bibi Zainab Salamullahi Alayha. So, inshallah, we hope to see you guys here at our future programs. Inshallah, we have the youth majlis every year, but even our everyday program, we know Mutaiba has always encouraged us as youth to always be active and always participate in the program. So we're glad that all of you were able to join us today, and we hope to see you guys here in the future as well. Please recite a loud salawat. Alhamdulillah, this weekend we are very blessed and honored to have Maulana Mehdi Muhammad Poor with us. Just to give a brief introduction on Maulana, this is his first time joining us at the Bethel Wali community. Maulana Mehdi Muhammad Poor is a PhD student at Georgetown University, and he's a graduate of the Islamic Seminary of Qum, where he studied traditional Islamic studies for nearly a decade. He has a high focus on fiqh, theology, and philosophy, and Maulana currently teaches Islamic and Religious Studies at Mizan Institute, Mufid Academy Seminary, and George Mason University. So again, Maulana, we're extremely humbled and thankful to have you for you joining us this weekend. And with that, let's welcome Maulana with a loud salawat. For Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة على رسول الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين. سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين عليهم السلام. السلام عليك يا أبا صالح المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. A lot of things to give thanks for. First and foremost, Allah for blessing us with another opportunity to attend a gathering that expresses our loves, our commitments, our expression of pain and grief, and our deep admiration for that of the Ahlul Bayt. We are thankful for that, and considering that we are in the final days of holding Majalis, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us our attendances, our expressions of condolence, and our renewed commitments. Inshallah, make us of those who are worthy to remain within these Majalis. We know, of course, as our tradition teaches us, and for the younger ones, as our elders have taught us, that we are all guests in these Majlis, for the hosts of them are Ahlul Bayt themselves. So it's a privilege to be here, and it's important that we don't take these privileges for granted. Second point of praise is to attend not just a majlis, but a majlis that is dedicated to and that is administered by our youth. That is, of course, something that we should hold great pride in, that we are not only able to attract them to attend in the pursuit of them learning, for them to be trained and formed in this tradition, but also for them to take the lead. That is a sign of great success. It is a sign really of a great gift that God has given us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve this fervor of the love of Ahlul Bayt in our children. And we ask that, inshallah, we are given that wisdom to continue supporting their efforts, so that inshallah these programs may continue, may they flourish. Inshallah, we'll have more and more not just majlis across the world, but also we can have contributions from them in a way that in a few short years' time, if even that, there will be no need to invite a guest from outside. You will have from amongst yourselves those who are worthy and more worthy to sit in the position that I'm sitting, inshallah, can address the needs of the community. Finally, a personal point of praise and thanks for the invitation to be extended, of course, to join this community for these few short days. I've had the pleasure of being invited to one of the other communities in this area, and through my relationship with also a Saturday school past couple of years. I've been very blessed to know some of the young children and their parents, and I'm very pleased to see them again. I also want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help me build relationships with those of you that I'm meeting for the first time. And thank you for this honorable invitation. May you, inshallah, through these majalis, take away something beneficial, and forgive me for any shortcomings that I may have in this presentation. What I wanted to speak about today, I think much of it was captured by those two wonderful presentations that were given. I unfortunately was not able to capture the eloquence of some of the salams that were recited. I can feel from the passion and the energy that was in the room that they were incredibly proficient. But from what I could understand from the recitations of the Quran, which were beautiful, and from those two eloquent presentations by Hussein and Ali, really, I think they touched on the major points that I want to take. So it's in the middle of the day. I'm sure you may have had other affairs today. If you're a little tired, you picked up what they said, then you're set. I don't think I'm going to add much from the points that they made. So feel free, you're a little fatigued, you're a little exhausted, that's okay. Just being here is a blessing enough. If you sometimes may not be able to concentrate or follow the points that are being made, that's completely okay. So it's my blessing to you to feel comfortable, inshallah. Okay, with that said, I also need to be wary of time, just because we have, extension of comfort doesn't mean that I should stay on the member and overstay my welcome. What I wanted to speak about today, inshallah, for this majlis, as we come to an end of what we call this majalis season, Muharram Safar, Azadari, we want to try and come full circle, right? When we started these majalis, not just in Muharram, but preceding that, we always come with an objective. And as Ali so eloquently put it, we're here in pursuit of reformation, right? Also, as Hussein mentioned, there's a reason why this kind of Husseini spirit perseveres over time, because it is the protection of the Ahlul Bayt. But we as participants, right? We as individuals coming here with a need, we're coming here with containers, speaking for myself, empty, and we wish to leave, containers full and overflowing. So coming full circle, what is it that we've learned? And specifically, the question I want to ask is an analytical one, is what is it that has caused this message to persevere over this many years? Now, again, like I said, the core of the issue has already been mentioned, but I mentioned 7 points here that I invite us first to look at it from the perspective of this is historically what has occurred, but kind of on the flip side is for us as active participants and perhaps contributors to the preservation, the proliferation of this message. These are 7 things that we really need to be wary of and pay attention to. It is the keys to success are found in our correct conception of these, digesting them, and then also producing works, lifestyles, engagement with the world that are drawn from these principles. So these are the 7, and I'll try to run through them as quickly as possible. MashaAllah, you all are a very well-educated, well-seasoned community. You've been attending these majalis for a lifetime. It doesn't need more than a few indicators here or there for you to kind of take the message and run with it. The first thing is that nothing occurs in this world, be it good or bad, be it successful or failure, except for the will of God to be behind it. Okay? So we said in this kind of excellent theological treatise that was presented, it is the will of God that fuels all that happens in the world. In our way of understanding, a Tawhidic way of looking at the world, we know that when Allah wants something to happen, it happens, and when He wants something not to happen, it doesn't happen. Okay, that is a theological conversation to be had. And some of the struggles that we have with that is to figure out where's our place in the world, where's our agency in the world. But beyond that, as students of this, we call it caravan, students of this school, the Ahlul Bayt, when we perform actions of our own, how can we distinguish whether the good will of God is behind this, or whether this is one of those occurrences that God has decreed and is occurring, even though it may not be characterized as those who are agents of good? This is an important thing. for ourselves and our children, there needs to be some sort of indicator that we can say what we're doing is blessed by the support of God, versus this is occurring because God has allowed me for that opportunity, and I have also the chance to change, to return, and ultimately if I don't, then I will see my due reward or punishment on the day of judgment. I want to start with a very powerful quote from the late Shaheed Malcolm X. And just as a side note, it's important for your children to learn of contemporary role models that have captured, to whatever extent, the message of Islam, and especially if they've captured the message of Ahlul Bayt, for them to be points of connections, right? Because they take those basic principles and they transform it into a local, not just interpretation, but expression. And those local expressions are important for, younger generations that are living in certain localities to see and then resemble too. Because the greatest mistake of the movement, and he's speaking, of course, of a movement of his time, it's still a struggle for justice. Criticism was the greatest mistake of the movement has been trying to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. You have to wake the people up first, then you'll get action. So we say, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supportive of a movement, a struggle towards establishing justice? Yes, of course. Is Allah supportive of the proliferation of love of Ahlul Bayt? Of course. Is Allah supportive of my children becoming those who have deep love for Ahlul Bayt? Of course. But these are not things we can take for granted. We want some action to come out of our loves, our relationships, our appreciation, our commitments. And the first thing that's important for us to be acknowledging of is that are we and have we woken up through the reception of this message, through the receiving of this message, through the hearing of this message? Or God forbid, this is not a possibility, but God forbid, imagine the great irony of a group of people who will hear the call of the Imam year after year, but still remain in the state of sleep. This is a specific danger. So in reviewing all of the elements that we're presenting here, 7 principles beginning with the will of God, it's important to remember that any successful reform, you call it revolution, or call it reform, whatever you want to call it, the titles are not important. The keys to the success of any of these things must include these elements. And the first of them, of course, is the will of God. وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ. Your Lord is one who creates whatever he wishes and he chooses as he wishes. مَا كَانَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَارَ. It is not for them to have choice. Allah a lot of times juxtaposes in the struggles that we have in life. We say, we have the forces of evil and the forces of good. And sometimes we pigeonhole God as being one of the forces of good. So we say, all the evil in the world, all the bad in the world, all the injustice in the world, how can we defeat it? We got to get God on our side. God is above this. God is not wrestling with the agents of evil. God is, if anything, sustaining their agency. It is to invite you and I into this struggle of good against evil. So it is Allah who gives choice. It is not they who choose. Subhanallah wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. Immaculate is God. Don't bring God down. Allow God to remain in the position that he does. And he is exalted amma yushrikun, from the things that they attribute to him, these shirks. And one of those shirks is to bring God down and say, if only the support of God comes, then we'll be victorious. The victory has already been decreed. It is not to get God on our side that we have observed that an injustice is being done, and now we are trying to what? We are trying to entice God. We are trying to lobby to God, that God, you come to our support, because this is a support that is, no, it's not about these things. God is beyond the attributions that we make, and Quran sometimes characterizes it being shirk, because it is a shirk of sorts. So for us and our younger people especially, if you want to see whether you're on the right path or not, see whether the will of God is behind you. See whether the support of God is behind you. And now in trying to identify that, it's important for you not to just look in a very utilitarian way. It means don't just look at the outcome and say, is the outcome that I wanted? No, it may not be. But does it still fall in line with those basic principles that constitute the will of God being there? See, a lot of us are we are objective oriented. It is not a bad thing. There's a lot of mileage to be gained through being objective oriented, being results oriented. That is okay. Be it in business, be it in career, be it in life. Ultimately, all of us are in pursuit of a certain result. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. So all of us are in pursuit of trying to pass that sirat, they say, the bridge, right? And not to fall over, because if we are able to move past that bridge and get into heaven, فَقَدْ فَازَ, we're successful. So we're all results oriented in one way, but it is important for us to remember that certain worldly or tangible results don't always translate to you and I being victorious or experiencing defeat. Now, in the case of Imam Hussein, this is a clear message. You tell someone who is unacquainted with the larger tradition, doesn't understand the context, say, well, he was defeated. Let's be honest. He tried to make a change, and he was outnumbered, overpowered, out-resourced, and they slaughtered him. So I don't know what definition of success you have, but that's not a success. Or imagine you want to make a change in the city that you live in, the society that you live in, you go, you protest, and then all of a sudden smash you, all of you. You can tell your kids that's success? No, you have to do more. So the definition of success is found not just in some of these superficialities, it's in the larger context. Let me give you a more day-to-day example. See, Ahlul Bayt in their tarbiyah and their teaching us are trying to communicate this message that we fully understand. And when we do fully understand, then as Allah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, they will begin to challenge us to the next steps of the things that we can do. See, someone like me is stuck at this level. There's a story of a companion that came to Imam Salih alayhi salatu wasalam. This may hit a little closer to home maybe for some of the parents, but from the kids you can kind of extrapolate the main message. He says, I had a request from Allah. There's nothing wrong with having a request. Allah is sustainer, Allah is benefactor. You want something, you ask. Who else are you going to ask if not God? But I wanted to have children, and the request that I made from God, I really, really wanted a son. Now, for some time, Allah did not give me any child, and finally, when the child was given, and they had to wait until the child came to term, was born, it was a girl. Now, he didn't come and say, I hate my daughter. I wish no, none of this kind of, as we hear early Islamic, pre-Islamic, where people were so despised by having daughters, so humiliated that, they would bury them alive. Not like that, but he said, I had this request. It's not hard for God. You know what? It's nothing for God. Why can't I just, God, give me a son? Now, imagine, for each and every one of us, we have more or less these sorts of, grievances with God, if we want to call them that. And God, I asked for something, but either you didn't give it to me or you gave me something else. And what would have changed in the world if I had just gotten what I wanted? And I'm not asking for my ego, because I really take enjoyment and pleasure. God, I really wanted to, kind of move to this city. God, I really wanted to get this job. I really wanted to work with so-and-so. I really wanted my son to get married to such a girl. I really wanted my daughter to, all of these things and requests that we have, many of them in our minds are legitimate. So the companion came to the Imam and said, this is what happened. The Imam said, let me stop you right there. And let me ask you a question. Said, imagine when the time came, right now we have genetic tests, we have even manipulations where a person says, I only want a boy. So you go to the doctor tells you it's going to be a girl. Nope, I don't want it. Or other manipulations, I want to increase my probability of having a son. Okay, whether we were playing God there or not, I don't know. It's not my position to comment. But in that time, we didn't have these things. The Imam asked them, listen, if the time came for the gender to be assigned to the child, and God said, it's your choice. Either you choose or I choose. Either I, as your God, as your Lord, as your sustainer, will choose, or you will choose. What would you do? Quickly, the Sahaba said, whoa, what kind of a question is that? No way would I allow myself the audacity to say, I will choose God. I want a boy. No, Allah. If it's between my choice and yours, there's no choice. There's no question. It belongs to you. Any agency that I have is only because you have given that to me. How can I allow myself? This is same issue, same point. Allah was allowed the opportunity to choose, if you want to call it, using the language of the Quran, and He chose this way. You still have a grievance? Are you still upset? Something as small as that completely resolved some of the heaviness in the heart of this companion. Now, I don't know if he was being unthankful. You can say, that's being unthankful. God gave you a child, healthy child, and now you're complaining because the gender is not this. But in all of our small things in life too, the things that we want, if we're only looking at a certain result, and when we don't get it, we feel upset, we feel defeated, we feel depressed, we feel put down, we feel ignored. Then it is for us to ask that question. Who's really the one choosing here? And who do we want making the choice? Ourselves or God? So long as we teach ourselves and our children to walk the straight path, whether that transforms into a form of victory where you and I can identify and say that is good, or whether it doesn't, the logic needs to be sound. And the logic is that if you and I are doing the things that God has instructed us to do, and yet the result turns out other than you and I want it, that is okay. Because that is within what? The larger will of God. So in your conversations that you have with success with your children, allow them to nuance the definition of not just a very rigid, societally defined, short-minded, myopic way of looking at successes and say, this is success and this is failure. No. And the preservation of a tradition as powerful, that of Karbala, happens where people who are uninitiated look at it and say, this is a failure. And you're telling them this is the highest success that you can achieve. Now, you want your child to fully appreciate that as much as they're reciting with the passion. You want them to transform and transcend into the deeper meaning of that, right? Allow them to see what it means to be successful through the will of God. And that may, many a times, and especially in the time that we're living in, may conflict with what is understood popularly as being successful. So that's number one. A strong parallel to draw, if you want to kind of use the Quran to drive this message home, is the example of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. See, the nation of Imam Hussein a lot of times is compared to, or it's seen as an extension of, the larger Abrahamic project. Because the Islamic project is an Abrahamic project. It's a continuation and completion of an Abrahamic project. Quran says, Inna Ibrahima kana ummatan qanitan lillah. Ibrahim himself, individual, was an ummah. And you know ummah. Ummah means what? Nation. It doesn't mean one person. It means an institution, right? It means something, a collective of things. So Ibrahim he's an institution in and of himself. Qanitan lillah. He is obedient to God. Hanifan, upright, straight, and has not deviated. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And he is not among those who ascribe partners to God. So what was Ibrahim's larger ask of God, and what was his production? First, he asks a few things from Allah. رَبِّ هَبْ لِي حُكْمًا وَالْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. First thing, give me some wisdom, give me some insight, give me some basira, as we call it. Give me some nuance, in another way. And also allow me to unite me with the righteous people. Make sure that in my social relationships, the people that I solicit, people that I frequent, are people who are righteous individuals. وَاجْعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. And also grant me a worthy repute among the generations to come. So lisan al-sidq sometimes means I want to speak the truth. But beyond that, I want to be understood correctly. I want to be understood righteously in generations that come after me. It's one thing for the person who is, kind of contemporaneous to observe and say, yes, this person was just like that. But a lot of times is it fails to preserve, at the very least, the accuracy, right? The strength of the experience that was there originally. And if anything, it has the possibility of perverting, distorting what occurred, right? what we are so appreciative of and what we want to participate in is being a part of that tradition that preserves the purity. He spoke of Islam and Nab, pure Islam, because you can have a perverted Islam. And he said, oh, well, that's an oxymoron. Islam has to be pure in and of itself. Yes, but semantics, we're speaking of semantics, we speak of the day and age of radical Islam and moderate Islam. We have a pure Islam and impure Islam. Right? So in the preservation of a pure Islam, Ibrahim is asking, oh Allah, make the generations that come after me understand what my basic point was, right? The pure Abrahamic mission, not a perverted Abrahamic mission. What was the objective of Ibrahim? And he made a dua. So رَبَّنَا إِنِّي أَسْكَنْتُ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ. Oh Allah, by your command, I settled with my family in a barren land. Barren. Middle of nowhere. عِنْدَ بَيْتِكَ الْمُحَرَّمِ. Proximity to your prestigious and holy house. رَبَّنَا لِيُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ. Why did I do this? Oh Allah, to establish, to uphold the prayers. So I didn't just move out in the middle of the boonies just because land was cheap, or just because I had a business opportunity, or just because, none of these things. Those have made also been a part of it, but that wasn't the reason why I came. It was for the establishment of prayer. Now, because I did this, Allah, I ask you, فَجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِ. Allah, I ask you to make the hearts of at least a part of the people who shall reside in this place and who will hear of us, what tender, fond to them. Why? You want to call it a sacrifice, you want to call it an intentional mission, because of the mission that we had through your instruction to come here. What we ask is not recognition. What we ask for not is not celebration. We're asking just make the hearts of some of the people, not even all, fond of them. These people, this family of my children, and sustain them, feed them of the gifts that you have, the fruits that you have, so that they may hopefully be thankful. So the will of God is for the preservation of this message, but in continuation of this Abrahamic mission, the Prophet, they reported, peace and blessings be upon him, that the day Imam Hussein was born, they brought, of course, the newly born to the Prophet. They would not name them until they would bring to the Prophet, and the Prophet would inquire from above. So they brought Imam Hussein to the Prophet, and the Prophet began caressing the child, kissing the child. And he recited this ayah. Oh Allah, make the hearts of some of them fond of him. And this has a number of different reasons. This is the musibah itself, because he knows what's going to happen after. Allah, at least of all these people who are pledging these allegiances, make a few of them lovers of Hussein. So, in capturing the will of God, sometimes it's even necessary to peel back some of the layers. You may say, you have a choice between associating between religious and non-religious. I don't want my kids to be non-religious, so I want them to associate with the religious. Good, that is a good choice. The will of God is there. Now, even within the folds of the religious, sometimes you have the effective and the ineffective. Sometimes you have those who are kind of still on point and those who have been distracted and deviated. Now, again, this is not a point of judgment. Oh, brother, you're guided, you're deviated. No, not like that. But still, just because you're in a larger concept of religiosity, Islam, lover Ahlul Bayt, even that does not mean that we've driven home the true love that translates into what? Into continuing the Abrahamic mission. In the statements that Ahlul Bayt make before, during, and after Ashura, you see this. They're constantly trying to tell the people, listen, this is happening, and it is going to happen, and it is going to continue to be preserved because the will of God is behind it. And the most famous example that we know are the statements that Lady Zainab makes in the courtyard of Yazid. Says, listen, if you don't understand, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to tell you. And beyond that, if you don't have a listening ear, let the people around you hear. And let the generations after in history hear. فَإِلَى اللَّهِ الْمُشْتَقَى. Our grievances and our reliance is to God. Not to you people to have pity on us, to have some mercy on us. وَالْمُعَوَّلُ وَإِلَيْهِ الْمَلْجَأ وَالْمُؤَمَّنُ. He alone is our relief. He alone is our source of protection. ثم كد كيدك وجهد جهدك. Something that most of us don't have the courage. Ladies and gentlemen, courageous women. We're not just saying that. It says you person who you think you're in power right now. You think you kind of are able to control the narrative. Kid kaidek, do whatever you want. Kaid means strategize. Sometimes it's used in kind of like when a person is behind your back, mischievously trying to devise a ploy. Do whatever you want. Whatever plan that you have, whatever strategy that you have, to the extent that you can. Wajhad juhdak, and not just in passing. Use all of the power and the resource that you have. Flex all of your muscles. Let me see. Bring out your best and brightest. Bring out all of your armory. Bring out all of your machinery. Bring out all your weapons. Use all of your rhetoric. Do all of those things. We're not asking for you to try your best. فَوَاللَّهِ الَّذِي شَرَّفَنَا بِالْوَحْيِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنُّبُوَّةِ. By God, the one who honored us with what? With the revelation, with the book, with the prophethood, وَالْإِنْتِخَابِ, and also with the selection of us to continue this. لَا تُدْرِكُ أَمَدَنَا وَلَا تَبْلُغُ غَايَتَنَا. I'm standing here firmly to tell you, you will not arrive at the destination that you want, and you will not be successful in the objectives that you set. You're doomed to fail. You're failing right now, you just don't understand. Allahu Akbar. Ya Rasulullah. MashaAllah. They even know the right time of doing it, the most powerful time. MashaAllah. That's the insight. It's the wisdom. It's not just it's for the sake of it. MashaAllah. Allah preserve them. After saying this, then, ladies and gentlemen, he'll kind of finally finishes the whole thing. Because not only are you failing and you will fail, this وَلَا تَمْحُوا ذِكْرَنَا. You will not even be successful in what? In obscuring our remembrance, in silencing our remembrance, and covering our. Because people will not forget. And a successful part of any political stratagem has to be what? Not just the destruction of your opponent, but it is also to write the history that comes after it. You have to justify why you did that, right? These people were terrorists. These people were enemies of the state. And that's the way that they were being presented when they were taken from city to city. These people are dissidents of the state. They're deserving of this treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, says, even that you will not have the satisfaction of writing that history. Our remembrance will remain alive. So imagine someone who has this conviction. You and I are not standing up to the Yazid today. Right? Well, at least not yet. But we aspire to these things, do we not? I wish I was there. So it's not just we were playing the role of observer, because observer is hard enough. It's so hard to observe. Some people, even in Karbala, the scenes were so difficult. I looked away. I turned away. I couldn't even see. I couldn't even stand to see. Now you and I say, we didn't want to just come and see what we wanted to be there and participate. So a person like myself, I'm not there yet. But the conviction that I have, if I'm born in this, that the will of God is there, and it allows me the eloquence to stand up, not just here, but this is where it starts. And I stand outside and say to all of you people who think you have power, you think you have control, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And not just, don't take it easy. Bring the best game that you have. And I'll guarantee you're going to lose. And not just that, but the people will know that you lost, and our victory will remain alive in all of history. Imagine teaching your kids that. And with that conviction, to turn to Hussein and Ashab of Hussein to find that. Not only will they be successful in these smaller endeavors, so I'm trying to become successful, this, and that, but they discriminate against me because of the way that I look, because of my name, because of my religion, because of whatever. Tell them, I'm going to be successful. Just because, Bob and Joe and whoever doesn't want it, who are these people? They're nothing. They're nobodies. You have God on your side. And it's not to build an ego for them. It's to say, listen, you're aspiring to do something good. Do you think your God, this great God, this wise God, this loving God is going to allow you to be trampled and allow us an oppressor to? No, this is not the way that we look at the world. So how does the message of Imam Hussein persist? And day by day, it grows stronger. This is the walk of Adamai. It's a miracle. Yeah, we say from a marketing standpoint, largest peaceful gathering in the world. That is an unbelievable thing. 23 million people, 24 million people this year on the back of a global pandemic. And think, you and I, have we fully realized the potential of this message? No, we haven't, right? Imagine if we actually start to fully appreciate what will happen. Tell the world, do whatever you want. We have the strength of Hussein on our side. We have the strength of Ahlul Bayt on our side. It builds a confidence that allows you to stand in the face of the enemy face to face, like the Imam and the companions of the do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And even if it turns out something like this, we will still be the victors, and we have continued to be the victors. This is a lesson that you and I need to teach our children. Allah protect us if we bring them in majalis like this, but at the same time we're telling them, no, we want to arouse attention. I'm not saying for them to be provocative. Imam Hussein was not provocative. He was in Medina and he said, listen, I don't give allegiance to this kind of a person. But he wasn't going out and, setting up booth everywhere and saying, oh, he wasn't even doing that. So it's not like he was going out of his way to be provocative. But when it came to him, he drew the line in the sand. I'm sorry. This is not what I'm about. I won't allow myself to do it. At the very least, our children should have these red lines.
Muhammad Ali Muhammad Salawat.
I want to be respectful of our time in the Majlis. Inshallah, very blessed to have today and tomorrow, inshallah, in these afternoon majalis, and also on Monday night for Shahada Imam al-Askari. We can continue this conversation then, but just to kind of wrap up, he said there are at least 7 principles that exist in the experience of the Imam, that it is served to preserve it, and we are looking to fully appreciate what they are and translate that into the way that we also interact with this, that we live out this experience, so that we may also not just be observants, participants, active participants in this, and we are contributing to the continuation of this message, which of course, the standard bearer of that is the Imam of our time. May Allah inshallah hasten his reappearance. We can continue tomorrow. We can continue inshallah tomorrow this conversation. If you have any thoughts, contributions to make, anecdotes, please, love to be in conversation with you, and please enrich the presentation with your contributions as well. We can take our hearts to Caravan of Ahlul Bayt, recite a few minutes of Musiba. It's tradition now that we come to the end of this season of grief, remembrance of the difficulties of Ahlul Bayt. The journey started one way, but it ended a different way. Sallallahu alayhi wa abdullah. As our dearest young brother recited, when Abu Abdullah left Medina, he wrote his message to his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. The state of Ahlul Bayt was completely different. The emotional state of Ahlul Bayt was completely different. When the caravan left from Medina, they left with a certain dignity, a dignity that they were given by God, and that the Prophet worked tirelessly to establish in the Ummah. But when the caravan of Ahlul Bayt comes back to Medina, they come back victors, they come back successful, but they also come back broken. As narrated from Our Lady Kulthum, as the caravan arrives back to Medina, she recites these lines. In conversation with the city of Medina, but specifically she's in conversation with Rasulullah and our mother, Lady Fatima. Medina tajaddina la taqbalina. مدينة جدنا لا تقبلينا فبالحسرات والأحزان جئنا. O Medina of our grandfather, do not accept us back into the city, for we have returned with grief, sorrow, pains, and distress. ألا فأخبر رسول الله عنا بأننا قد فجعنا في أبينا. Residents of Medina rush to inform Rasulullah that we return with the shock of the loss of our father, Abu Abdullah. وأن رجالنا بالطفع سرعا بلا رؤس وقد ذبحوا المدينة. Express condolences to Rasulullah for the bodies of our family members still lay in the land of Karbala. Their heads were separated and the enemy slaughtered our children. وأخبر جدنا أننا أسرنا وبعد الأسر يا جدا سبينا. Inform the Holy Prophet, not only were our soldiers killed, our children slaughtered, but after we were taken captive, we were driven like prisoners, humiliated. ورهتك يا رسول الله أضحى وعرايا بالطفوف مسلبين. Ya Rasulullah, the bodies of your beloved family members remained in that place uncovered. They did not even leave the bodies, they looted the bodies after martyring them. وقد ذبحوا الحسين ولم يروا جنابك يا رسول الله فينا. Ya Rasulullah, remember when you told his ummah, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْغُرْبَةِ. O people, I ask nothing of you, just show compassion to my near ones. What did they do with this Hussein? They attacked Hussein from all sides like the beasts that they were, slaughtered him. They did not consider our exclusive relationship with you. فلو نظرت عيونك للأسارى على أقطاب الجمال محملين. يا رسول الله, perhaps you observed in this journey of ours how we were taken as hostages, how they forced us to sit on the bare backs of the camels when they took us from city to city. رسول الله بعد الصون صارت عيون الناس ناظرة إلينا. Ya Rasul Allah, after a lifetime of strict observation of the hijab, these wretched people, their haunted eyes looked at us without hesitation. The enemies made us victim of torture. وكنت تحوتنا حتى تولت عيونك ثارت الأعداء علينا. You had protected us greatly, Ya Rasulullah, so long as you were alive. But once you closed the eyes to this world, the enemies attacked us from all sides. Now Umm Kulthum turns to address her mother Fatima. I will only read one or two lines, they're so painful to hear. فاطمة لو نظرت إلى السمايا بناتك في البلاد مجددين. Oh, dearest mother Fatima, perhaps you could observe your imprisoned daughters who were pulled from city to city, town to town. أفاطمة لو نظرت إلى الحيارى ولو أبصرت زين العابدين. Ya Fatima, perhaps you watch how your children were in distress. Perhaps you watch how the children had to flee when they turned the tents on fire. Perhaps you watched how Zainul Abidin was struggling. فاطمة لو رأيتينا سهارا ومن السهر الليالي قد أمينا.
Oh, mother, perhaps you watched how we spent these nights without sleep, how ultimately it led to our blindness. Ya Fatima, perhaps you observed those scenes where Lady Zainab had to go and scour the plains of Karbala, looking for the missing daughters as they went to look for their headless fathers on the plains. لا يوم كيومك يا أبا عبد الله. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ماتنا حسين يا حسين.
Hai hai Zainab, hai hai Shah, hai hai Zainab, hai hai Shah, hai hai Zainab, hai hai Shah, hai Zainab, hai hai Shah, hai Zainab, hai hai Shah. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi, hi, Shah. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi. For the first Noha, I would like to invite Wali Shah to recite his first Noha. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi, hi, Shah. 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 Hi, hi, Shah. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi, hi, Shah. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi, hi, Shah. Hi, hi, Zainab, hi, hi, Shah.
Rida sar sichni मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
पानी ना मिले तेरी खुशबू तो रहे तेरी बाजू ना कटे शाहे मशकी शाशदे ये मगर हो ना सका तेरी बाजू है जुदा मुझ पे है तशना नबी तू ना आया गाजी जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी मैं दूध का शजर तुझसे आबाद खबर है मरहना मेरा सर नहीं तुझको खबर है अलमदाए वफा हुस्न तो दा खुदा तुझसे दास्ती बड़ी तू ना आया गाजी जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी आ गई शान आलम लुट गए अहले हरम रेत पर जलती हुई हो गया ठंडा आलम फुर्सत देने के लिए मुझसे मिलने के लिए आ गए बाबा
तू ना आया गाजी जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
क्या कहूँ शेर मेरे दाम बोलिए ये मुसलमान सारे शहर दर शहर गए दिलकते शाद कभी और
Next, I would like to invite Bacher and Nakhli to recite no Nahwi. Next, I would like to invite Ibrahim Hassan.
बीबी मदीना आ गया आले नबी का काफिला जब कैद से छूट कर चला नजदीक यसरब जब हुआ फिजा ने ज़ैनब से कहा बीवी मदीना आ गया
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी
नबी
Ali Ali
बंद कौन रवा शूट यसरब दा तेरी सीधे शूट फिजा ज़ैनब दा होवे
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया
अब खत्म है अपना सफर आता है अब मुझको नजर
अब खत्म है अपना सफर आता है अब मुझको नजर
हजरत का रोजा आ गया
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया
अहले मदीना आएंगे बर्बाद हमको पाएंगे
पहले मदीना आएंगे बर्बाद हमको पाएंगे
किताब सब हो जाएंगे हो जाएगा महशर बाबा
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया
सरवर न आएंगे नजर अकबर न आएंगे नजर
सरवर न आएंगे नजर अकबर न आएंगे नजर
असगर न आएंगे नजर सुगरा का होगा हाल क्या
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया
अब्बास अब आ जाइए पानी नहीं अब चाहिए
अब्बास अब आ जाइए पानी नहीं अब चाहिए
मत्था में रोजा नबी का आ गया
बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया बीवी मदीना आ गया
तलवार ही है आज भी तड़पा रही है आज भी
सुलवा रही है आज भी तड़पा रही है आज भी
यादा रही है आज भी तौकीर ज़ैदी ये सदा
बीवी बीबी मदीना गया, बीबी मदीना गया।
काफिरा दाल नबी
होली होली होली
ऐद बंद बोल रसूल कसरा बिदा शेर सीधे चूत इज़्ज़ा ज़ैनब दा होवे
बीबी मदीना गया, बीबी मदीना गया।
This was India Hassan. Next, I would like to invite Ali Raza to recite. Ali Raza.
मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी काले मनाने का और जिंदाने का ये बन के दे हुई तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी हमको पानी ना मिले तेरी खुशबू जो रहे तेरे बाजू ना करे चाहे मुश्किल जाची दे ये मगर हो ना सका तेरे बाजू है जुदा मुझ पे है तशना लगी तू ना आया गाजी
जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
धूप में टूटा शजर से आवाज देता घर है बरना मेरा सर जाना ही तुझे तो खबर है अलमदार वफा इस बन को बाखुदा तुझसे दारस थी बड़ी
तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
आ गई शाम अलम डूब गए अहले हरम रेत पर जलती हुई हो गया ठंडा आलम गुस्सा देने के लिए मुझसे मिलने के लिए आ गए बाबा अली
तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
क्या कहूँ शेर मेरे तेरी दामन बोलिए ये मुसलमान सारे शेर दर शेर गए खिलकते कूफा कभी खिलकते शाम कभी और हम हंसी
तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी
कितनी बेबस थी बहन शहंशाह वफा नाम ले ले के मेरा जब ये जालिम
ने कहा नाज था जिसे मैं तुझे अब बुलाऊं ना उसे और मैं रोती रही तू ना आया
जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया
कैद खाने में कदा जब सकीना को मिली बेटी कुर्ते का कफन बच्ची दफनाई गई उस घड़ी नाम है तेरा सूरत नाम दे अली हुक्म दोहराती रही
तू ना आया जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया
रोया रेहाने कलम करके ये बात रकम खून में डूबा गया मेरा गाजी का अलम जख्मी ज़ैनब का जिगर शां का सर आए खैमों में शकी
तू ना आया जब रिदा सर से छिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया
This was Ali Raza. Next, I would like to call up Ihsan Ali Sheikh. Pure science.
Hussein, 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 Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein.
हैया अला खैरिल अमल 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 या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन के कातिल में हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल में हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल में हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल में हमारा मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा हर तमाचे पे सकीना हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा मुझे बालों से पकड़ कर तमाचे मारे मुझे बालों से पकड़ कर तमाचे मारे मैंने सर से मुझे मांगा जो हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा हर तमाचे पे सकीना रे हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा जब मुझे आपके कातिल हमारा बाबा वो जो ने तो पहले मुझे बाजे थे वो जो ने तो पहले मुझे बाजे थे
This was Ihsan Ali Sheikh. Next, I would like to invite Dakhri Abbas.
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein.
Ya Mola Hussein, Hussein, Ya Mola. Ya Mola Hussein, Hussein, Ya Mola. ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार बका मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार बका मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार बका मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन कब से है बेताब नज़र ढूंढ रही है वो सफ़र जो ही बने होगी गुज़र उस पे मिले शाह कदर आके शिफा पर मैं करूँ शुक्र खुदा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन मेरे दिलो जान फिदा आप पे हर आन फिदा आप ही मोहसिन है मेरे आप पे हर आन फिदा और भी एहसान हो ये मुझ पे जरा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन जान की तरह हासिल खुर की तरह आगे बनूं आप कबे रोल बनूं दीन से तेरा मैं रहूं और कोई चाहत ही नहीं इसके सिवा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन तुम्हें भरा था जो अलम शेख मिला आपका गम उठ के चले शाह उमम रोए जहां अहले हरम बोला बेदरिया मेरा पुरसा भी अदा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन ए मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन होके रहे अहले हरम आए जो गए से किसी तुम सारी ज़हरान दिया फातिमा ज़ुहरा को अलम रोक के कहा ज़ुहरा ने कहा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन मेरे गाजी मेरे सरकार वफा मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन मुझको बना दीजिए ज़फ़ार हुसैन
This was Dakhri Abbas. Next, I would like to invite Nadia Ali Raza. Nadia Ali Raza.
Hussein, 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 Hussein,
हाँ ये है शहर शाम हाँ ये है शहर शाम हाँ ये है शहर शाम छोटी शहजादी
सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। इतनी वहशत के एक पल न गुजरे जहाँ, चीखती हो जहाँ सिर्फ तन्हाइयाँ। रोना क्या सिस्कियों पर भी पाबंदियाँ, रस्सियों बेड़ियों तोक के दरमियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। सर को ले खाक पर गमज़दा बीवियाँ, उस पे कासिम की अकबर की असगर की माँ गुजरी हुई खाली थी गोदियाँ, सबकी हिम्मत बंधाती थी ज़ैनब जहाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। हाँ इसी शाम के बीच बाजार में बीबियां पत्थरों की थी वो चाल में। घूमे डूबी मोहम्मद की थी बेटियां, हर तरफ शाम में जश्न का था समा। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। देखे कर बिन्ते ज़हरा का यूं सर खुला, नोके नेज़ा से गाजी का सर गिर गया। हाय गाजी की गैरत का ये इम्तिहान, सर पटकने लगी सारी शहजादियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। एक कयामत सी दरबार में आ गई, जब सकीना कनीज़ी में मांगी गई। ना पुत्र ना चचा भाई भी ना तमा, थोड़ी सज्जादे में गैज़ में बेड़ियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। दुख्तरे हिंद बोली सकीना बता, कैसे दामन जला क्यों है कुर्ता फटा। ओढ़नी तेरे सर की गई है कहाँ, खिचड़ी की शकीने तेरी बालियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। बोली क्या हाल है अपना बताऊं तुझे, छोड़ के जब से बाबा गए हैं मुझे। मैं यतीम हो गई और क्या हो गया, मेरी गर्दन में बांधी गई रस्सियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। और एक रोज जिंदान रोने लगा, जब सकीना को बाबा का सर मिल गया। बोली अब्बा आए हो तुम मेरे बाबा ना, इतने दिन दूर मुझसे रहे हो कहाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ। रोई रेहान और रज़्ज़ा की आंखें लहू, रोज़ा-ए शहज़ादी पे की गुफ्तगू। हाँ इस वक्त हम तुम खड़े हैं जहाँ, नूर ही नूर है करती तारीकियाँ। बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ, बड़ा रोई सकीना यहाँ।
Next, this was Nadia Ali Raza. Next, I would like to invite Abis Rufani.
Hussein, Hussein! Hussein, Hussein! Hussein, Hussein! Hussein, Hussein! Hussein, Hussein!
कहते थे हराम,
बादे कत्ल शाह कहते थे हराम, बादे कत्ल शाह कहते थे हराम, बादे कत्ल शाह कहते थे हराम। वाह मोहम्मदा तुझ शुद हुसैन, वाह मोहम्मदा तुझ शुद हुसैन। खेमा जल गया घर भी लुट गया, जल गया घर भी लुट गया
खेमा जल गया घर भी लूट गया
खेमा जल गया घर भी लुट गया
या मोहम्मदा कुछ तो शुद्ध हुसैन
या मोहम्मदा कुछ तो शुद्ध हुसैन या मोहम्मदा कुछ तो शुद्ध हुसैन
बलहू में लौट के आया जो जुलझना समझी सकीना बाब को लाया है जुलझना देखी जो जीन हाली तो करने लगी ये बहन जुलझना 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 कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझना 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 कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझना जुलझना
सुलझना कुछ तो बता मुझको सुलझना
जो गया है घर से आ नहीं सका हाय जुलझना
हाय सुलझना
शाम हो गई है दिन गुजर गया हाय जुलझना
हाय सुलझना
क्यों तेरी बाग बदीम जुल्म क्या हुआ खून से तर है जबी जुल्म क्या हुआ
सुलझना सुलझना मुझको बताओ
जुलझना क्यों हसीन हाली बाबा है कहाँ हाय जुलझना
हाय सुलझना
पुश्त क्यों है जख्मी खून है रवा
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
मेरे बाबा के वफादार कुछ बता दे मुझे सब्र और करार कुछ बता जुलझना
सुलझना
कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझना तीर है बदन पर तेरा जा बजा हाय जुलझना
हाय सुलझना
क्यों नहीं बताता क्या सितम हुआ
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
तेरी खामोशी में है हमें क्या खबर क्यों मुझे समझ है कि जुदा हो गए पदर
सुलझना सुलझना
कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझना हाथ छोड़ कर मैं कह रही थी ना हाथ जोड़ कर मैं कह रही थी ना
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
जी सकूंगी कैसे बाप के बिना
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
अब जो दुनिया में मेरे बाप मार है कौन सीने पे सुलावे अब मुझे
सुलझना सुलझना कुछ तो बता मुझको सुलझना
उठ गया जो सर से साया बदर
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
सो गई सकीना कैसे खाक पर
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
समय जा गई अबालियां मेरी है ऐसा तात की चादर पिछी निगी
सुलझना कुछ तो बता मुझको सुलझना
कत्ल हो गया क्या फातिमा का लाल
सुलझना हाय सुलझना
सकीना फुरमला
हाय सुलझना हाय सुलझना
नहीं थी उल्टा मेरे पापा को सुए दश्त ना ले जा
सुलझना सुलझना कुछ तो बता मुझको सुलझना
हर तरफ है लाश
जुलझुला हाय जुलझुला
ऐसे पैदल लाइन के दरमियान तू बता लाज पर कदर पाऊंगी कहाँ जुलझुला कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझुला मैंने बेखता के सुन के रो दिया
हाय जुलझुला हाय जुलझुला
काटे अपना रंग कुचल दिया
हाय जुलझुला हाय जुलझुला
चकले मीसा मोर मजहरा दुदी ठे ये खाक पर सकीना गिर गई जुलझुला जुलझुला कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझुला 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 कुछ तो बता मुझको जुलझुला जुलझुला
This was Abbas Rabbani. Next, I would like to invite Abbas.
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein.
Hussein,
Oh no Muhammad, oh no Muhammad,
Oh no Muhammad, oh no Muhammad, oh no Muhammad, oh no Muhammad.
शबीर का तुम सदका हो अब खैमे में बेटा तुम लौट कर
Hussein.
This was Abbas. Next, I would like to call Mateen and Hussein to recite Wala.
Hussein, 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 Hussein,
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر لحظ مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين وقاسم بن الحسن ومسلم بن أخيه وعلي بن مروى وحبيب بن مزاهر وهر الشهيد الرياني. السلام عليكم يا شهيد كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أرجو الله تعالى فرجاك واستغفر الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم